Welcome to the Wellness Help Desk with your host, Nikkei Modi, certified wellness coach and personal trainer. A wellness podcast focused on providing practical tips on how to curate a healthy lifestyle uniquely for you, where we discuss wellness hot topics with expert guests and have real candid conversations. It's the one-stop shop you need to get the help you've been looking for. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Wellness Help Desk. Today we are bringing some honesty, and I hope you are ready. I'm so excited. But before we jump into that, just wanted to give y'all a little life update. So today is actually my birthday, and it has been the best birthday. I recently heard a video that talked about how luxury isn't like what you buy, but how you treat yourself. So I've been treating myself with luxury all day, and it has been so great. Like, this birthday just hits different, y'all. I am so expectant of this year, and I'm so happy to be 32 and looking forward to what this year of 32 brings me. And it's just been a great day. And so to end my birthday with recording a podcast episode is also super exciting. So now that we're done with that, let's jump into today's episode about breaking up with the self-sacrificing narrative. So I'm sharing about why and how I broke up with this whole self-sacrificing narrative. And I'm hoping that this encourages that one person that is feeling this and it resonates with to start to have a sense of self-reflection, and then from there take the appropriate action that is what they need. So the narrative that I'm talking about is this one that it's okay for women to self-sacrifice themselves past this point of oblivion for the sake or greater good of everyone else while they wither away. So what I mean by that is they are self-sacrificing themselves, but not meeting their own needs. And so everyone else around them is good, but they're withering away. And physically, they may look fine on the outside, but maybe they're withering away emotionally, mentally, or physically in ways that are not visible, but they aren't even talking about or vocalizing. And they could be self-sacrificing themselves for their family, a job, friends, neighbor, or whoever or whatever else. And I just want to remind you that in life, we always need balance. Anytime balance isn't happening, something is being neglected. So think about the two sides of a scale. Like when both sides are of equal weight, there is no change in the height on either side. However, like the moment more weight is added to one side or something is taken away, there's a dip in one side and it's visible that something has changed. And this is the same when a woman is constantly meeting the needs and responsibilities expected of her for everyone and everything around her, but she's not meeting her own needs. Her wellness garden is dying and it's not being nurtured at all. And the crazy thing about it is that what does she get in return? Oh, you're so strong. I don't know how you do it. Wow, I can't imagine doing all that you're doing. Great job. Or a free coffee or a pat on the back. And this was me, y'all. This was me up until last year when I decided enough was enough. And for those who aren't familiar with my story, if you don't follow me on Instagram, last year I transitioned to Ohio to basically be a caregiver for my mom. She has Alzheimer's. But before that, I was also caregiving for my dad. So last year, I was just at a point where I just was tired of being tired. And I saw this self-sacrificing narrative happen to my aunt, and she passed of a heart attack in 2017. And then I saw the ramifications in my patients' lives, right? So when I was treating in the clinic, the first 2 years treated more of the African-American demographic. So these were women who just had given so much to their families, right? Their children were out of the house. Their husbands were quote unquote retired and happy. But here they were in front of me and they felt lost. They were trying to pick up the pieces of their health since it had been neglected for so many years. And they would express to me how they regretted not making themselves a priority over the years. They just considered their children and making sure they were good. They considered their spouse, their friends, their parents, everyone else but themselves. And so last year, I decided not to let that be my ending, and that I wanted to start prioritizing my needs over serving everyone else. And notice that I said prioritizing, not neglecting, right? I would start prioritizing my needs and not neglecting everybody else. That's not what I'm saying. When you say priority, it involves structure. It involves a system or a list. So instead of being number 7 on the list, I'm now going to be convicted that I will be number 2, that my needs will be met, if that's all I can do in the season that I have presently. And so a year later, after making that decision, and I am the happiest I have ever been in my life, and I don't feel like I'm living a shell of a life based on other people and meeting their needs. I'm meeting my needs first, and yet I'm still able to serve the people in my life that I love. It's possible to have it all. You just have to decide. It's possible to serve the people in your life that you love and meet your needs. So it's cool because, I shared on the last episode that I'm going to be traveling full time as a digital nomad, right? It's so unconventional. Some people looking at me like I'm crazy, and other people are like, can I come with you? But this is only possible because I started asking myself what I wanted, and I decided to make myself a priority. So decide today that your needs are a priority. I'm going to say that again. Decide today that your needs are a priority. Break the mainstream narrative that being the self-sacrificing hero who doesn't meet their needs is cool. It's fine. It's okay. Because it's not fine, and it's not cool, and it's not okay. Your unmet needs are just leading to burnout, resentment, exhaustion, bitterness, and I'm sure a laundry list of other things that you're able to vocalize if someone asked you. And so how did I support my decision once I had decided that I was a priority and I was going to look at meeting my needs first? How did I support that decision? Well, today I have so much more peace of mind. I'm full of joy and I am feeling connected to myself in a way I haven't in my whole life. And I want to clarify that when I say feeling like connected to myself, I don't mean in this like weird energy way. I just truly mean living as myself. So for years, which was, I learned last year, a trauma response that I picked up in my childhood. For years, I lived according to the environment and people around me. I was constantly adapting to the mood, energy, everything of people around me. Trying to keep the peace, trying not to create conflict, trying to not have anyone be upset with me. It was all about everybody else. So therefore, most of my life, I've only lived for others essentially. And this whole feeling that I have now of making decisions and thinking without others in mind feels very new for me. I feel like Nikkei as a person is showing up, and it feels so freeing and it feels so good. I'm like, is this how normal people have been feeling my whole life? Wow. Okay, so let me get back to how did I support that decision? Once I decided, what did I do to support myself moving forward to commit to that decision and making myself a priority? Therapy. And I want to later do another episode on therapy and its implications in your overall health and well-being. But therapy was pivotal in supporting me. I had a business coach who is a licensed social worker and she's trauma informed. Shout out to all my licensed social workers. Y'all are literally the GOATs. But she has transformed my life. I started working with her in March of 2021. And her name is DL Sharon. If you need a business coach, she's amazing. Also, mindset work. I love mindset. And that I started doing consistently. And mindset is something I'm going to later do a series on because it's one of those things that's starting to bubble up and be very, very popular within the health and wellness space. But there's so much research on mindset. Emotional healing. Like I worked on really meeting my past at how it was affecting me in the present, understanding my triggers and all of that. Loving little Nikkei. Like I learned little Nikkei loves dancing. Like she loves dancing in the kitchen or when she's eating like a really good meal. It just lights her up to be able to express herself through dancing without any judgment, without any criticalness. And it's been great to support loving little Nikkei. I've been implementing more boundaries to protect my peace, implementing wellness habits and sticking with them. And I want to add a caveat that implementing wellness habits that work for me in my season with the resources that I have available so that I could stick with them, so that I could be consistent. I've been asking myself what I wanted, which seems so simple, but is actually a very profound question when you answer it honestly. Whether that was what I wanted financially, what I wanted in life, all of that. And I kept showing up for myself. So even on the days when it was hard with my mom, if she was just more agitated, if I could only do one thing for myself that day, I did it. If I could only dedicate 10 minutes to meeting one of my needs, I did it. But I consistently did it and kept showing up for myself. And I defined who outside of myself were my priority and what that boundary looked like. And my therapist helped me with this. So outside of me as an individual, who was my priority? Like my mom was that, for example. But yeah, she's my priority. But what is that going to look like boundary wise? And how am I going to define that? So as with everything, there is always a combination of many things that support how you're growing, how you're evolving. And that, as you can see what I just listed in all those things, were a combination of things. And I didn't start doing every single one of them at one time. They all kind of got added at different times and in layers and as I remained consistent. But I will say there's one thing that starts the momentum for these things to fall into place, right? You making a decision. That's the one thing. You have to decide. And once you have decided, you have to hold the belief that you deserve to put yourself as a priority and meet your needs. I'm telling you, guilt will happen. That moment you start taking action to meet your universal need that all human beings have, if you've been so accustomed to self-sacrificing and neglecting those needs, guilt will happen. That inner critic will show up and have a lot to say, and you'll be like, am I even doing the right thing? But you have to hold that belief that you deserve to put yourself as a priority and meet your needs. A therapist once told me while my dad was in hospice that there will always be a to-do list. There will always be requests others are making. There will always be a notification to answer. There is only one you. How are you treating yourself? You know, my life isn't perfect and I still have a lot of deep work to do and that I want to grow in. And I still have a lot of deep desires that I hope the Lord answers one day. However, right now, presently, I have this joy that is honestly in part to surrender, but also because I stopped putting my needs on the back burner. And I'm not bitter, angry, or exhausted like I was walking into 2021. So I want to challenge you to ask yourself, am I making my needs a priority? Do I feel like I put myself on the back burner in order to serve everyone else? What will that look like 5 years from now if I continue to place the needs of everyone else above my own? The scary part is being honest about all of this. It's saying it out loud, to be honest. But once you work through that part and you're honest with yourself and you say it out loud and you acknowledge it, you'll then start generating momentum moving forward. If you're finding yourself having a challenge working through this on your own, and you want to be able to walk through a process step by step without overwhelm and with support, then head to rnawellness.com to schedule a consultation with me for one-on-one wellness coaching. I'm not only excited to hear your story, but I'm excited to hear the lightness, the passion, and the excitement that starts to come from you as you talk about wanting to make yourself a priority. In the end, deciding to break up with the self-sacrificing narrative will totally be up to you on your terms and in your time. But I promise you, once you make the decision and you choose to support that decision moving forward, you'll see a transformation that you never knew was possible. That's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening in. If you enjoyed the episode today, head over and leave me a review. This helps others find the podcast and be one step closer to curating their healthy lifestyle. Come connect with me over on Instagram at Nike_Lamoti. And if social isn't your thing, join my beautiful newsletter community via the link in the show notes. To learn more about exclusive one-on-one wellness coaching, head over to randawellness.com. As always, remember to give yourself grace.